subscribe.
Welcome back to the channel. My name is Errol, and today we'll be taking a look at the Power 6 tires on the Kawasaki Ninja 250. So if this is your first time dropping by, thank you so much and welcome to my videos. We talk about motorcycles quite a little bit, especially on tires sometimes. And if you are a returning viewer and if you've enjoyed any of the videos, do drop me a like and subscribe. So today we are looking at the Kawasaki Ninja 250. Mine's a 2011 bike. It still has the analog dials and pretty sick paint job. In my opinion, still a very relevant, still a very good looking 250cc motorcycle. Alright, so let's jump right into the tires. I've got the Power 6 110 70 17 in front and the 140 70 at the back. I would highly recommend that you stay with the sizes that the manufacturer has recommended, purely for safety reasons. And this is the evergreen look of the Power 6 tire. I really like this one because it does what it claims, and most importantly is the shape of the tire. So whenever you want to make any turnings or if you want to do any evasive maneuvers, the Power 6 is the tire you want to be on. The other point of consideration that you probably should have about your motorcycle is what if I cannot find a tire that will fit my bike? For example, the higher end tires typically come in 120 in front and then starting from maybe 160 at the back. But then for the smaller displacements, we're essentially looking at 110 in front and probably up to 140 and 150 at the back. Now, other brands, other mix of tires might have the similar ones. For example, another brand that is closer to the sport riding make also has what they call a H range. So the H is representative of the speed rating for the tires. Now, what is critical about the speed rating, most importantly, is whether or not that tire is designed to be able to handle what that bike and how that bike is meant to be ridden. Now down to the actual performance and the actual riding of the Power 6. For me, if I do any riding, it'll probably be a daily commute or a weekend ride. Now what we see here is a simulation of a daily commute, right? This is along the busy highway, and then as the traffic starts to slow down, I know that people will start merging, case in point right there. And then moving forward, we'll start to see more people merging, right? And they'll probably start to jump lanes. So like this guy here, you see that tire coming right out at me, right? And the Mini on my right is just holding his lane. And then you have more and more and more cars coming from the left. So in this instance, what you might want to expect from your tire is as you brake, the bike is able to stop and the bike is stable while it is stopping. The other thing that you want to consider is if you need to do any evasive maneuvers. For example, once you start to pick up speed and then all of a sudden a car starts to come in, you want to be able to hit the brakes and swerve and perform evasive maneuvers. Now all of these will come into the picture, and if you have a tire that is probably not so suitable, or if the tire is not in such a good condition, you will probably start to slide. Now with that being said, right, you really want a tire that is able to stop, a tire that has good grip, a tire that is easy to turn, so that at any point of time, if you need, right, that tire is able to do exactly what you want it to do, right? Now, a little bit of a trade secret here. Well, not so much a trade secret, but if you have not picked up on the specifications of the Power 6 yet, right, the other competitor brand has a H range for their sport tire. Now, for the Power 6, right, the speed rating is not a H, it's not anything lower, but it is a W. And if you are familiar with your tires, you would know that the W speed rating is the same speed rating for superbikes. That means the speed rating is in excess of 270 kilometers per hour. Now looking at my 250, I don't know if my bike will be able to go 250. Probably not. Actually no, my bike can only go 160 with my heavy rider weight on. But with a tire that is able to sustain a speed rating beyond what my motorcycle can do, right? I'm essentially putting a superbike tire on my smaller displacement bike. Now, does that mean additional safety? Of course. We have to look at the rider skills, we have to look at the rider input. For example, a rider has to be smooth on the throttle, a rider has to be smooth on the brakes. Now, this tire is already well beyond the skill level of any amateur rider on a 250cc. So if you've seen my previous video, what I do is I actually keep track of the changes on the tire temperature, the surface temperature, as well as the tire pressures in PSI. So for this tire, what I did was I started out as cold, and then I followed up with the 1 kilometer mark, followed by the 18 kilometer mark, and then followed by the 25 kilometer mark. Now what I noticed was, as opposed to the changes in the temperature on the ZX10, which uses the bigger size with the heavier bike, with the more power and whatnot, the Power 6 performance on the 250 was not too far off in terms of where it started and where it ended. So I was riding a lot on the highway. It was full throttle going on with a heavy rider. There was more in fact, it was entirely a highway ride from the cold start all the way until the 50 kilometer mark. Now what was interesting was the temperature changes. It climbed up pretty quick. That means again it gets up to temperature very quickly. But the PSI was only +2 in front and +1 in the rear at any given time. I was riding on the highway all the way out and then highway back in the afternoon. I think the road surface temperature was probably in the low 40s to the 50s, but my PSI remains the same. So, in a nutshell, as we are evaluating the performance of the Power 6 on a 250 motorcycle, right? I think what we are looking at is, number one, a tire that was designed for superbike performance and superbike speeds, now put in a slightly different size to accommodate the smaller displacement motorcycles. So that's number one. Number two, as a result of that, we are getting performance parameters that is way beyond what a 250 can use. So I guess the conclusion here is that if you are looking for the best tire for your motorcycle, and if you are riding a 250cc and probably all the way up to maybe a 250 or a 390, if you want to put the Power 6, I think that Power 6 can take you really far. Okay? And lastly, in terms of the longevity, because the tire pressures are not too far apart, right? The tire is able to handle those heat cycles very well. The PSI doesn't change. That basically tells me there's not too much damage to the tire. So I would expect that the wear and tear of this tire and the longevity of this tire would actually be pretty damn good. So there we have it. That's just my personal opinion on the Power 6 tires. I think they are a great option to the motorcycle that I have. It should be a very good option that you can also have on your motorcycle, regardless of whether or not you really fully utilize it all the way until the sides. That's probably secondary from how fast and how good you are as a rider. But what we are probably looking at is probably the safety aspect of it, the ease and the agility of the tire, and probably looking for that experience on the bike that we have as we turn on the engines, as we start going. We really want that tire to be able to give us a lot of confidence to go through the ride and whatnot. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next one, if you found that this video has helped you, do give me a lot of support by liking the video and subscribe to my channel.